So in order to remove the PCV valve, I first had to follow this hose. It goes through here all the way back. I couldn't really get to it, so I unclipped this electrical. Now you should disconnect the battery when you're working on a vehicle, but I'm confident that what I'm doing isn't really going to be affected. Never do that. Always disconnect your battery. Okay? Now, I couldn't get over here. The only crescent wrench I had that would fit this, apparently it's somewhere around 23 millimeters. The only crescent wrench I could get around that, or that would fit doing this action, the adjustable wrench wouldn't fit around it. So the only one that would fit around it was too long, and it kept hitting right here and right here. So what I did is I fed my hand around a little spout, and I came through this side with it. So I'm going to have to do that to put it back on. So that I have to lean over my engine, and it's kind of a pain. And I got to set up lights. I have a bunch of little lights. That's a little one, it's not very good. I have a bunch of little lights that I got from the dollar store that are really good. Some are magnetic. They should really make more of those. Yeah, I had to take this hose off. So the way where it bends like that, it goes onto back there. Then it comes onto this little spout here. I cleaned this hose out too a little bit with the carb cleaner because it dries up real fast. So I'm going to very soon put this back on. Another thing is, when I was messing with this and I first was trying to feel for it, my elbow hit this, and this was plastic before, and it just barely tapped it and it burst off. So I went to go buy just this part. This other one was plastic and this was metal. I had to buy a whole new thing, and I was like, oh shit, this is going to be complicated, but it wasn't. You just take off that clip there, and that bolt, and it's a bolt that's got like a spinning washer on it, and then you take off that one. That one I could just do with the drill thing, torque wrench, whatever. But this one, or impact wrench, this one, impact driver. This one I had to do kind of by hand. It was kind of a pain. And these just come off with clips, and they pull that off. When this broke off, it had a piece of the old plastic in it, and I had to grind it out and clean it out. I should have taken it all the way off and cleaned it out, but if you turned it just a little bit upside down, a bunch more coolant came dropping out, and I didn't want to deal with that. So hopefully that's all good. But yeah, I actually fed it down there through the wheel so I could turn it upside down a little bit and purge it more. This looks like it's on its way out too. I saw that when I was looking for this. I didn't know what this was called. It's some sort of heater hose. It was kind of a pain, but I had to call this lady over, and she knew what she was talking about. She found it for me. Took her a while too, and she didn't know what it was called. But I was able to describe which side it was on, that it was feeding through the passenger side, that it had to do with the coolant line, or some sort of part of the cooling heating system. That was like $65, and it ended up being $100 because I had to buy oil because this thing has been having blow-by and burning oil. I didn't know it was called blow-by, but it is. And it's why I think it's why my engine's been idling rough. Now there's supposed to be some other kind of component over here, like either this or something else, the evap line you're supposed to clean or something. I don't know too much about it, Most people don't do that. One guy went in extensive detail and he did all that. I'm not going to do all that unless I have to. Hopefully my coolant's good. Yeah, it should be fine. I had to refill it. I do, but I don't like to do. I mix brands. But this seems to be fine. Might need to be burped a little more. Yeah. So when I turn on my car, I'm not going to turn it all the way on because I don't want to run the engine. Yeah, I don't want to run the engine. But that service light will be on all by itself, along with my tire light because my tires are low. Alright. And so if I fix this after a minute, this service light should come off. I went to O'Reilly's to ask them to scan it for me. They said that their scan tool, he said, is it a check engine light or is it a service engine light? I said, it's a service engine light. And he said, well, if it's a service engine light, our tech usually won't pick up the code, but you can take it to Valvoline, which is by Jiffy Lube somewhere here. It's kind of like a Jiffy Lube. And they will check it for you for free, and they should be able to pull the code. So if this doesn't work, I'm going to go to Valvoline tomorrow to pull the code and see what it's telling me. But I had already suspected that it was this, and when I changed the coolant and it burst and I redid it and stuff and I put in new oil, it was like, oh, service your engine. So I think it has something to do with it had like almost no oil. It's like running on almost no oil. There's probably like contaminant metal. Hopefully nothing's broken. I put up stuff to keep the friction off the cylinders and have better compression. So hopefully it will be okay. This engine's got like 250,000 miles or something, and it's still kicking. These are really good engines. They just need some maintenance. But this should actually help my fuel economy and everything too, and keep me from dropping oil. I noticed that some of my oil was leaking from the bottom, and what that might tell me, is that there's too much pressure because of the not evapping correctly and stuff, and it's running lean, so it's using more fuel, and it's just pushing out oil out of little parts and stuff. So hopefully this fixes that. I think it was pushing out of the oil filter, which I had changed recently. So we'll see. Sorry this is like almost a 10-minute video, but I just wanted to show people because some people are curious about this stuff.